just me, or am I getting more vicious and cranky as I get older? Or maybe it just comes from dealing with trolls and idiots on a regular basis, just from doing this show, I don't know. There are just things I'm finding myself having less and less patience for than I used to, so I might as well get some of them out of my system. Starting with some nonsense I've heard since I was a kid, let's talk about the people who always scream that kids seeing violent TV shows or playing violent video games makes them psycho killers, or that the same kids hearing about a threesome on Gossip Girl or something is going to make them sluts. Look, I don't dispute that media and poor taste is out there. Just look at half the pop and rap stars in our midst. But that by itself isn't going to turn good kids bad. When I was a kid, I watched shows like RoboCop, Tech War, Babylon 5, and yes, even a couple of the million versions of Power Rangers. I also played first-person shooters like Doom, Quake, and Duke Nukem 3D on a regular basis. I've also seen my share of women wearing short skirts, bikinis, tank tops, tiny swimsuits, and doing the typical primetime bed scene of the era. In other words, with tongue kissing and only showing shoulders. According to the logic of the overprotective nitwits out there, by the time I was in grade 10 I should have either been a pimp or mowing down my classmates with an assault rifle, but I never even held a loaded weapon, never mind fired at a human, and I wasn't even sexually active in college, much less my early years of high school. My point is that these children's groups, ironically, really need to grow up. Yes, there's mainstream entertainment that isn't really appropriate for kids, but getting an uproar about it is just going to make it more exciting. What these people should be doing is getting on the case of parents who aren't doing what they ought to be doing, which is teaching them right from wrong on a one-on-one level. That's what my parents did, and for the most part I turned out fine. I may wish to smack certain people with a 2x4 on occasion, but I won't actually do it. Getting a little more topical is the people who get in a fuss about climate change, and while the hysteria does happen on both sides, I'm a little bit more annoyed with the ones who think that trying to cut greenhouse gases is going to be the end of the world, or that spewing pollutants in the biosphere isn't really doing any damage. Let me try and explain on more practical terms why we need to do something about emissions in our power sources, okay? First of all, you know about those exhaust fumes that gasoline cars put out, and the big funnels of smoke we see coming out of major factories? You know how all that is going to the atmosphere? That means that it's going into our air. That means we're breathing all this crap. How hard is it to grasp that thick black smoke isn't really something that people should have in their lungs? I mean, honestly, do you people also think that secondhand smoke is harmless? Second, maybe you haven't noticed, but the planet is running out of oil. It might not be gone tomorrow, but it will be gone before too long. So unless you plan on derailing every place in the world that uses a car, boat, train, or plane to get people and goods moving, then we need to rethink this thing. Finally, spare me this crap about how going green is going to destroy the economy. Leaving aside that, as I said, what we're doing right now is unsustainable anyway, the economy will survive if people are smart enough to do what any good businessman does anyway, response to demand. Yes, building wind farms will be expensive work, but they will need people to build, maintain, and operate them. That means there will still be jobs. By the way, when I went to Prince Edward Island, I saw plenty of these wind farms. That's because of necessity, given that they have few to no natural resources, and because, frankly, it's windy out there. Smart people innovate, the rest bite the dust. One thing I've been meaning to rant about for a while is people who let their pets outside, especially at night, completely alone. Seriously, how stupid are you people? Never mind that there are a lot of sickos out there who like to beat up, cripple, mutilate, shoot, or burn pets alive for fun, and leave them to die in agony, I might add. Maybe you haven't noticed, but there's a lot else that can go wrong for domesticated animals in the outdoors, like cars and trucks. For that matter, what about wild animals, bad weather, farmers protecting their crops, or just a simple bad step that can lead them God only knows where with a broken leg or two? Frankly, if you wouldn't let a toddler wander around busy roads or the city alone or after dark, then you shouldn't let your pets do it either, unless you have a pet timber wolf. Finally, we all know that I despise bigots and zealots anyway, but there's a particular subgroup of them that I find especially low. Gays who hate being gay, or women who think that a woman should never be anything but a submissive housewife. Words almost fail me here. These people clearly have major self-worth issues, yet they often have the nerve to get on a soapbox to preach morality to everyone who doesn't hate themselves. Look, if you have such a low opinion of yourself that you either impose deadlines on changing things that you're basically stuck with, I have two suggestions. Either talk to a shrink, or see if Dr. Kevorkian is available. Which reminds me, the other day I read a remark from some ass who hates doctors just because, and I quote, "it's not manly work." Okay, sir, I have a manly suggestion. If you like bungee jumping, and what macho man doesn't, instead of the usual safety harness, I'd like you to try this new idea of mine to keep you tethered. It's basically a thin metal wire that goes around your neck. It's kind of uncomfortable at first, but believe me, it'll give you the ultimate rush. If you ever thought you were too tall, you won't have to worry about that after you're done with this. It is said that you can't fix stupid. Well, maybe as humans we can't, but with people like these, it shouldn't be hard to just sit back and let natural selection take care of it for us. Those of us who actually have our shit together, take note. We could get caught in the crossfire, so make sure you stay sharp if things look like they're about to get pear-shaped. Maybe then we can get our planet back. That's it for me.